All right, guys, episode 21. We kind of get a little crazy once the camera turns on. That sounds so generic, dude. But anyway, we're good. It's episode 21. We're finally legal, fellas. Like, can't do anything until you're 21, much less a podcast. And
anything fun anyway.
This is the ironic thing. Watch, you're gonna know that I'm 21. Watch, check this out. Here is what we're talking about tonight. NBA. The NBA is down viewership year over year, and since 2018, we're going to talk about that.
Get it together, NBA.
There's a TikTok ban coming this Sunday. Hopefully, we get this pod out. That means hopefully I put it out. I'm going to put it out on time.
And you're not putting it out on TikTok though.
Stuff. I think you're talking about you.
Yeah, I am talking about me. Well, and here's how you know I'm 21. We're 21.
How do we know?
I'm a grown kid. Dang, you never heard me say that before. What?
Yes, I have, dude. I've heard you say way worse, bro.
Oh, my bad. Okay. All right. Quit shaking the board, dude. I can't even
I'm trying to be a grown-ass kid here.
Oh, yeah.
Jump on the bandwagon. That's going to be a fun one. Vince's going to head that up. Wes Huff against Billy Crystal. No, Billy Carson. That was on our thread. Carlos kept getting it wrong. I'm like, dude, Billy wrong Crystal. Color, bro. Wrong color. All right. And then tech pendency. I like that word that LeBeau made, that he's going to reveal what he submitted to those that are higher above us and got rejected on that.
None of us ever know what LeBeau's talking about.
Yeah, we don't. And his perspective is just, he could have his own podcast. All right, let's go. How you guys doing?
Go. Good.
All right. Hey,
hey, by the way, Vince, real quick, bro, I love that shirt, dog. That shirt's popping.
Dude, I know, dude, but I want to wait till we get to a subject to talk about it.
Gotcha.
Your camera's not clear enough for me to see it. Your webcam.
It might be your eyesight.
I'm kidding, bro.
We'll get to it.
It might be your 21-year-old eyesight.
Yeah. So let's start with this whole NBA viewership down over the past, was it decade? Is that what it was? Or since 2018, something like that. It's gone down man, I had the stat last week, but it's gone down significantly. And I'll start it off. I think there's several reasons why people don't watch the NBA anymore. I'll give you 3 reasons. How about that? And you guys decide what you think. One reason is they flop all the time, and it's just stupid anymore. They go to shoot, and it's like, we don't want to watch a show. We don't want to watch drama. We don't want everything to be a foul. That's one reason why I'm turned off by it. Second thing is you can't depend on where you're going to see it. There's everything streaming on a different app. Sometimes it's TNT. Sometimes it's the NBA channel. Sometimes it's on, once in a while, it's on, regular broadcast TV. Or you got to buy an NBA pass, or you got to have DirecTV, or you got to have Altitude Sports. It seems like you have to pay somebody something and have all kinds of different subscriptions in order to watch just one season of the NBA. And it seems like the home where you're at, your hometown, they make it intentionally so you can't watch your hometown team without doing something. It's all rigged, in my opinion. And then over the years, they've gotten, into too much politics, into too many agendas, into too many, we're going to support this, do that, do this. And it takes away from, in my opinion, what should just be what I want sports to take me away from the world, and I want to be entertained. I don't want the same agenda that I'm seeing all across social media and all on the news channels and every podcast. I just want to be entertained and have fun. So I am one of those who watches NBA. Although I did go to the Nuggets last night, and Rocky did crawl right in front of us. I don't know if you saw my story, but I am one of those who do watch the NBA a little bit less as a result of that, even though I love the Nuggets.
I'll tell you, though, I sort of feel like I'm conflicted with the whole political thing. It's true, when you watch sports, when you watch any sort of entertainment, right, a movie, it is a little bit of a turnoff when you have actors or athletes, preaching at you about something that they probably don't know that much about. Mm-hmm. And sometimes they're actually financially benefiting from preaching that message to the masses, right? So that's one side of it. The other side of the coin, though, is if I were in that situation where I did have a platform, right? They call it a platform. If I did have a platform of that magnitude, and if there was something that I was really passionate about, I would try and find a way to leverage that platform to try and get that message out that's important to me, because at the end of the day, I'm a human being too, right? I'm a member of society. I have a voice too. It's my benefit and truly a privilege that my voice is amplified because of my platform, right? So I'm kind of conflicted about that whole thing. I sort of feel like maybe the decline in viewership in the NBA, I wonder if it has anything to do with just competitions in professional sports over the years, right? So now we have UFC, we have soccer's becoming a lot more popular. Of course, the NFL, right, with the NFL playoffs happening, or the heat of the season really happening as the NBA season is kicking off. Does that have anything to do with it? I'd be interested to see what the viewership for these other professional sport outlets look like, and whether or not that coincides with the decline in the NBA. Um, Last thing that I'll say is I'm super happy that the Nuggets are on the incline right now. They're having a surge, right? They've won. Did they win last night, Joe?
They
No,
got
no, they
spanked,
lost.
Dang
bro.
it, dude.
Yeah.
You ruined it.
I didn't ruin it.
You ruined the streak. No, they've still won what, like 10 out of their last whatever, right? Or 9 out of their last 11, something like that. So I'm really excited about that trend, that they're headed up in the right direction. Being that we were talking about Russell Westbrook before and how cool it would be for him to have a comeback story. I think it's cool, right, that he's having some success with the Nuggets. But anyway, that's what I'll say about the NBA.
I like what you said, and I don't mean to interrupt, LeBeau. I think, can there be, and this is a question we could discuss, can there be a difference between me, the human, even though I'm an athlete and I have influence, what I say personally versus what the NBA just displays publicly? Can that be, something as well?
Well, I mean, here's the thing, though. I mean, a good example of this, Joe, is your podcast, right? It's not so much that you come out swinging hard on religious content, but if there's an opportunity for you to live your faith out loud, it's part of who you are, right? So why wouldn't you do that in all forums, including your podcast, which is, a growing platform for you, right? So from that perspective, again, it's sort of, I don't know. I'm kind of conflicted about it because I feel like it's their right to do it. Absolutely, we live in America; they could do whatever. Um, is there a consequence for them to utilize a platform for that type of messaging? I don't know. But, for standing from my perspective, I personally, while I am a little bit turned off by it, I certainly don't blame them for doing it, because I think I would do the same thing if I were in their shoes.
Well, and I don't think that's the sole reason. And I'll give you guys some more to talk about here, because your part of your perspective is what ChatGPT is saying. Because I asked ChatGPT and it says changes in media consumption. So you're exactly right that that's one of the reasons why people don't watch it as much. There are many viewers, it's saying a younger audience, they're shifting from traditional television and opting for streaming. And so there's a lot out there. So one of the things you suggested is more than likely true. The Some people say that it's player availability. Like you go to a player, like for example, last night we didn't know Jokic wasn't going to play until about a half hour before the game, and they do that intentionally because people may not buy a ticket if they know he's not going to play that night, right? So that's another kind of, in Spanish, nos están engañando. That's what they say. They're kind of pulling the
Yeah, and
thing.
the teams actually get fined if they're doing load management.
Yeah,
So
that's what that's
that
called. Yeah, you're
so
exactly
yeah,
right.
so their way around of it is, I mean, Jokic probably knew that he wasn't gonna play, but
Mhm.
they have to make it seem like, "Oh, well, let's just take him into the locker room, do a quick X-ray because."
Last minute decision.
Yeah, last minute thing,
Mhm.
when in reality, he was probably like, "Man, I just been, like, it's like pushing myself for 2 straight nights or however many," and he's like, "Man, I just need a break." And he probably does have a little injury here and there, but
Yeah.
is it bad enough to just, be like you said, because how many people would have said, "Well, the full team's not gonna be there. Jokic is not playing. They're probably gonna lose, so I'm not even gonna go to the game."
And they do lose a lot when he's not
Yeah.
playing. But yeah, I mean, yeah, they're right. There's economic factors. There's other entertainment options, decline in rivalries, storylines, lack of partiality. Like some of the teams are super teams, things like that, and other teams just they can never keep up. You know, stuff
Yeah,
like
the
that. So,
computer's pretty smart there, Joe. They're pretty right
yeah,
on with all of their stuff that we're thinking for sure.
yeah.
I mean, the whole rivalry thing, no one wants to create an atmosphere of someone being a bully, and that's how that is in society and all that stuff. I think my personal experience is with the whole app thing. So I had I have DirecTV Stream. I don't even know if I could be telling you which service I have, right? I don't even know how this works. So I have DirecTV Stream, and then
You
I
said it again.
I got it specifically to watch Altitude, to watch the Nuggets and the Avalanche, and so I had this, watching it all season, this, that, and the other, and then the next thing I knew, okay, well, the Nuggets are blacked out on DirecTV Stream, and you can only watch it on Altitude Plus. So I signed up for Altitude Plus, thinking, okay, well, I'll have Altitude Plus then. I'm just going to go ahead and go down to my regular, basic DirecTV package and not have the Altitude network on there. Go Altitude Plus and watch the Nuggets and Avs there. So one night I went to watch the Nuggets on Altitude Plus, which is Cronky's very own network, Altitude Plus for the Nuggets. Well, guess what? It's blocked. It's blacked out on Altitude Plus because TNT is the only channel that carries it.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm like, what is going on here? Like,
Can't
this is
watch your
so
own home
inconvenient,
team.
so stupid.
Yeah.
That's
So
gotta
that
be the client
so
issue.
and so and this is an issue because you would think the NBA would be looking at numbers and saying, "Man, they're going to all these platforms now, Netflix, Prime, all these other they're going to all these other platforms." And I mean, I don't know anybody that I've talked to who's happy with the decision of them going on all these different platforms instead of just staying on their standard CBS, Fox, you know? I I just don't understand why they want to push, and I mean I do understand it's financial reasons because they're
Money.
getting a ton of money from Netflix, from Prime, from whatever streaming network that they're using. I mean, but you would think the NFL has seen what the NBA is doing and the frustration of the audience. And it's like, well, we don't really care because we're going to get paid either way,
Mhm.
you know. The it's like the whole thing. I always tell like with Brave, because we always argue like about the Disney prices, about how it's so ridiculous that prices just keep going up and up and up, and they're not going to stop going up because people are like,
They're
well,
still gonna
until they
pay.
stop coming,
Right.
then well, why would they stop raising prices,
But
and
those cost increases they're for a reason. Like they're not arbitrary.
for greed, that's the
No,
main
dude, they
It's
reason.
are
it's not greed,
arbitrary.
dude.
Not
They're
all the
The
time.
cost of
arbitrary
living
greed,
the
dude.
cost of living has gone up like everywhere, right?
Dude,
So
okay,
as a
the
result, the cost of
It
labor has to
wouldn't go
increase.
up if we keep
dude,
doing this stuff. You're
cost,
defending the like the rat race of
But
dude,
inflation, bro.
the
that's
average wage didn't follow that though. That's
yeah,
the
the
problem.
the cost of labor.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, we need to increase cost of labor. Well, they're increasing, like the top end's getting increased, but the average labor is not getting increased. That's
Well, I
Yeah.
can't speak about Disneyland specifically, but I can tell you that generally speaking, when you have a service like that that increases prices, the increase the increase in labor, pay to labor follows those price increases. That's the way it should work. Now, is Disney doing that? I don't know, but you know, it's free market, right? Which means that
it is free market, and
if you don't like it, don't go.
exactly, and that's why I'm saying that why would they stop increasing prices? Because they're like, why people are gonna keep coming. We keep getting like sold out every single, like there's during the holidays, they have to cut off like certain days because there's too many, they're at capacity. So why wouldn't they keep increasing? It's supply and demand, And
Well, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
in my opinion, from a business standpoint, I think it would be dumb
it's
for them
smart.
to not increase.
It would be dumb, but it's frustrating on the
Still
consumer end.
But you
You know?
still go.
No, I mean,
You and
do
Bree
you
are
guys
there every
know how much
weekend, homie.
I love Lifetime? Do you know how much it is right now? The average membership per month?
It's probably like
for one person.
$100 a month.
I know
Guess,
it's a
take
lot.
a guess. Take a guess.
I'm gonna say it's $115 a month.
No
One
way,
person.
dude.
Carlos,
I'm gonna say 175.
Vince,
I'm gonna go 150.
199.
What?
And-
Per
and if you-
month, dude.
And for one person, and if you
Nah.
go to like a premium club, which are
Heck
the
no.
the diamond versions, it's like 239, 229. So it's even higher.
Dude, it's so
Yeah.
much more economical to be
Bro-
fat and happy.
Bro, I'm gonna stay fat. I'm staying fat, bro. I'm staying fat. You see, catch me fat. You know what?
Fat,
else
happy,
you're
and
gonna
rich.
also catch me $199 a month in my wallet fatter too, bro. Nah.
Yep. my belly's fat, my wallet's fat. That's the way I like
Yep.
it.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh.
Joe's
Yeah.
just getting torn apart
I'm
here.
gonna spend $199
Hey,
on some
you-
steak, bro.
That's
Like, hit me up.
amazing. You can live however you want. That's the beauty of it. I will say though, I've been doing this wasn't on our agenda, but the cold plunge is amazing, and you ought to try it.
Did you buy a tub? Did you buy a thing?
No, they installed one at our
Oh.
club.
Oh, you have one. at the
Yeah,
thing?
so I've been doing it every day, and I'll give you the short version of the
I've heard about
benefits.
this.
I know the
Decreases
benefits.
inflammation, increases immunity, heals you up faster, and the knee pain that lingered that I had from my surgery last year over the last month, gone, 1,000% gone.
Nice.
So
That
I've seen
inflammation, dude.
yeah, it it's never fun. You never get used to it. You have to sit in there just 3 minutes under 50 degrees, the cold. But
What is the actual temperature?
it's like 45 to 50.
Oh, that's cold, bro.
Yeah. No,
That's
it's stupid.
freezing.
It's not fun. But like
Dude, I
the
did
benefits outweigh the
cryotherapy. Have you ever done cryotherapy?
cryo's like 10 degrees, even 0 degrees. Like,
Yeah.
it's even you got to wear a suit in cryo so you don't get frostbite.
Frostbite.
Well, you wear gloves and you wear socks, but you're pretty much in your underwear.
Yeah.
But it's a much more economical approach to anti-inflammation
Cold shower.
is to go and buy black seed oil. Black seed oil, ladies and gentlemen, is nature's wonder for anti-inflammatory issues. Like if you have arthritis, if you have joint pain, if you have fat cheeks, go guzzle down some black seed oil. You're going
When are
to
you
get
gonna do
skinny
it
in
then?
no time.
Carlos
You're
is
not doing it
Carlos, dude.
Cheeks are
in.
taking up all the RAM on our hard drive right now.
Oh, man.
Carlos went full hippie on us.
No, there's a lot of remedies, but yeah, super cool. I didn't mean to get us off track. Where we headed, fellas? TikTok ban. Did Carlos? Did I hear you right? You didn't know about this, or you've heard?
He heard.
I don't really know the specifics because
So-
it's been all over the media, right? In terms of TikTok is going away, this is happening, but then there's also a narrative out there from, I can't remember where I heard it. I feel like it was maybe from an interview somewhere. Someone said that TikTok will still be there. You just won't be able to update it. And over time it becomes obsolete. Whether or not that's true, I don't know.
Well, the whole
Don't
thing
fact
is
check
that they
me.
needed to sell to an American company or be banned. That was the ultimatum.
Yeah, I think which is crazy that
Here
an
comes people to
application like
Disneyland, Disney TikTok here, and people are still gonna want it.
Well, I know that there are some people that have sent in offers to TikTok, like
Yeah.
Mr. Beast
for billions of dollars.
and Mr. Wonderful. They're both Misters.
yeah.
Kevin O'Leary and Mr. Beast both have offered to buy it.
They're probably trying to lowball them, though.
Yeah. Well, here's the reason, and I know we've all kind of heard this, but there's the reasons why they're doing this is for data privacy. TikTok collects large amounts of user data, and their fears that the information could be shared with the Chinese government and other Chinese laws. I feel like there's a ton of apps that do that anyway already and have been. Misinformation. This is again our little friend, our robot next to me, giving me some information. The platform could be used to spread propaganda or misinformation, and then security risks. Some believe
Doesn't
TikTok
Let me
could
ask
be
you guys a
exploited.
question. Doesn't North Korea, which one is the bad one? North Korea?
North Korea.
Not the
North
bad
Korea.
one, but the ones that are under
They're bad.
Kim
Yeah.
Jong-un.
Yeah.
Don't they ban stuff like that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of
So
A lot of countries do.
A
So
lot
A lot of countries will ban. I mean,
there's a lot of countries that, as much as we disagree with their government, or maybe they're even, their style of government, or the way they rule their people, they actually have some pretty beneficial things that favor them, favor
morality.
people, favor morality, favor family, favor the kids growing up and what they learn and don't learn and see and don't see. So
I guess the reason I bring that up is, and this is a great talking point here, and I'm curious what you guys think. Does it infringe on Americans' right to consume whatever content they want to consume? Is it infringing on the rights of Americans
by the
to?
letter of the law, yeah, Carlos. If you're looking black and white, letter of the law, yes, absolutely.
but it's also the government's job to protect its people, though. So there's that,
Yeah. So I guess the question is, where's the balance, right? Like, I
There
guess.
was. I'll tell you where the balance is. The balance was you sell to an
Labonos.
American company, or you get banned. That's the balance.
Yeah.
You have the right. Here's the rights. Here's the rights we're giving you.
But it's not about TikTok. I'm not debating whether or not TikTok deserves to stay active. I'm debating the fact that the federal government is making a decision for you, for me, for Vince, for Joe, and for every other American out there, right, to be able to consume whatever content that they want to consume. It's not just about TikTok. It's about, what are they going to ban next that they feel is not good for you, that is
that's
not
about
good for
politics. And
society?
that's ridiculous, because politics are ridiculous. You're right. Yeah. I mean, that shouldn't. Yeah.
So here's the thing, and this is interesting, point on this, because, I was curious. Has this ever happened before? Anyway, like, could it really happen? Like, my first thought is no. I mean, it makes too much money. People use it too often. It's too valuable to the economy, whatever we want to say. But it has happened before. There are apps like WeChat that got banned and taken off. Can't use that anymore. Huawei was one of the manufacturers of a phone that you can't get anymore, and they completely removed that. India's done a lot of bans on Chinese apps, but the U.S. specifically, those two things have happened. Russia bans a lot of social media platforms too. So this has happened around the world. Only happened a few times in the U.S., two being Huawei and WeChat.
Yeah, I guess the question, to the federal government would be, do we really want to look like Russia? Do we really want to look like North Korea in these practices?
I don't know that it's, in my opinion, I don't think we're trying to look like anybody. I think we should do what's best for the people, or the government should do what's best for the people, not necessarily because somebody else did it.
So I don't.
This is right. So this is a good conversation, right? Because it's like, how much control should the government have over your life?
Yeah.
That is really the conversation. It's not so much even TikTok or telephones or apps. How much should the federal government intervene in your day-to-day life?
Yeah, I really don't. I really feel like it's not about the, I guess, the privacy and the release of information. I feel like it's more about them controlling what is going out on TikTok, because I think TikTok, as much misinformation that's on TikTok, there's a lot of people who've put a lot of things, and people call them conspiracies, that I don't think the government wants people to know about out there. And I think there's a lot of that threat, because of, they're like, man, I mean, look at, even Trump has said, I don't, this TikTok was a huge push in my campaign. A lot of the followers that I've gained through TikTok were a lot of the voters that went out and voted for me. I just think there's a lot of things that I mean, like I said, there's so much disinformation, but I think across the platform there has been a lot of people who have gotten through that. Government's like, well, we don't like that, but we can't really tell them to stop doing that because it's not our platform, it's a Chinese platform. So they can't really they can't really regulate it. So this is their way of regulating, of saying, well, you're just done. And we're gonna say it's because of your, trying to steal information and things like that. That's kind of what I think.
That's what Carlos
Does
is
Shein
saying,
or
though.
Temu do the same thing though? And those get used all crazy?
Yeah, all the time. And
Yeah,
but that's
that's a
what
whole
Carlos
other.
was saying about the consumption. How much do we want the government involved in making those choices for us? That's part of the problem.
I
Look,
mean,
the
that
reality
And to
is,
your point too, Vince, you're absolutely right, dude. Like TikTok has made people on the tierra, man, like put them on the ground and live action news, bro. Look at the fires in California. Like how much did that get exposure from TikTok? So those kind of live action news people are hitting the streets too.
yeah,
Like content
and
is out there. Like not always bad, not always untruthful. Sometimes real stuff happens as
Well,
well.
let's have some fun with this. Let's each make a prediction of what we think will happen. We could say on a scale from 1 to 100, what percentage do you think it is, or do you indefinitely think it is or isn't?
Which
Just have
part?
some fun, and then we'll come back. Is it going to get banned?
Is it like completely
Yeah.
banned? Like you
Yeah,
can't
like-
even access the app. It just
Like,
spins
so you
or
have
something?
two ways to answer this. You could say I'm 80% sure it's going to be banned, or you could say it is or it isn't. You give me a percentage or a definite yes or no, and then when we
So-
come back next week, we'll see who was right.
so
Just for fun.
I think it's going to be banned under the ownership that it is right now. I think eventually it is going to be bought out by an American ownership, and then from that point, the regulations are going to be put into place because it's an American-owned company.
How long do you think it's going to be offline for?
Oh man, I'm going to say
Just for fun. Just give me a
it's
guess.
going to be under 30 days.
Under 30
think-
days. Carlos, what do you? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm going to say, that 80% certain that TikTok will stay active. I think they're going to find a way. It's not only lucrative for companies to use TikToks. It's lucrative for content creators, and I don't think that it really makes a whole lot of sense to take it away, other than the fact that the government wants to have more control. Now, I say that from an ignorant place because I don't have the insight that the federal government has. It could be that the federal government has evidence that security information is being collected by China through TikTok. I don't know. They must have some sort of good reason to push for this action, or maybe they don't. But I think that maybe 80% certain that it will. There's a little piece of me that says that it'll go through all the way, because you do have the unpredictability of the government, right? So people flip votes all the time. I know they've already voted for it. The Supreme Court supports the ban. All that stuff is good, but it just seems like such a step towards like communism, and such a big step towards taking away free choice,
When you
and
said,
free speech.
But it's
And-
been
and
done
you-
before
but you
on other
said
platforms.
you also said about like it being so lucrative. I mean, how many Americans are employed by the monetization of TikTok? That's a lot of people. I really believe there
Yeah,
is a
and
lot of people who are.
Yeah, I mean, they're making money, and when you put on top of that all of the people that have economically gained from it, maybe they're not making money from their content, but a lot of artists have gotten discovered through it.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of craft makers have gotten discovered through it. A lot of pop-up shops have come up as a result of TikTok. Merch, other crafts. So there's definitely a positive infusion of revenue to the economy because of TikTok.
The boat's
And for
gotten a
that
lot of
reason,
dates from TikTok.
What's that?
LeBeau's gotten a lot of dates from TikTok.
Cinnamon. Let's go.
LeBeau, where are you at with it?
And I was gonna say that's why another reason why I wore this shirt, because I actually purchased this shirt from TikTok.
Yeah, that's dope.
Yeah. There you go. See,
have we all bought something from TikTok? Who hasn't bought something from TikTok?
I haven't bought anything per se, but I do believe that there are a ton of people that have made money from it, like good money. And I think it's good, right? I think that the little guy, the guy that doesn't have $100 million in capital coming from a private equity guy that doesn't have $100 million to start a business can, buy a couple of supplies, create something really cool, do it out of his garage. And then he has such a great marketing device like TikTok, makes a good living at it. I think that's awesome, dude.
I bought a lot of stuff from TikTok.
There's that Christian artist. He sings that song "Good." Do you know what's his name?
Forrest Frank.
Forrest Frank.
He has a
I think it's Forrest Frank.
Unique name.
Forrest Frank.
You know what I'm talking
That's
about?
a unique name.
What's that?
I think it's Forrest Frank. Let me see.
Forrest Frank.
Yeah, we've said it like 10
Yeah,
times.
dude. I also found a new worship band last night that apparently isn't new. I was all happy to show my kids and my wife this awesome worship band that I found on TikTok last night, scrolling through the videos, and I'm all playing their music. My wife's like, "You've never heard this music?" I was like, "No, have you?" She's like, "We hear it all the time." So, but anyway, I discovered it through TikTok, and I would have never.
I've discovered a lot of artists and music,
Yeah,
good music through TikTok too. Yeah, there's a lot of Christian hip hop that goes, unless they were on TikTok, I'd never hear about them. LeBeau, where are you at?
It has been a great platform for people, the small businessman and all that stuff. But when that happens,
What
guess
percentage?
what? Uncle Sam cannot tax those people, right? So that's where they're getting pissed. They're like, yeah, we got to shut this down. You know what I mean? We ain't getting no tax money out of this. I think that 0% happens. I think the 21st, everyone opens TikTok. It's good to go. Nothing happens.
Okay, so
the government has no balls, honestly, at the end of the day. So,
well, but
you don't own your car. But you don't own your car, guys.
You don't.
Let me ask you guys this question: How do they ban it? Because we're consuming it on a Chinese phone, and it's probably housed on servers that are in China. How are they going to stop it from coming in?
There's ways. There's you could even localize internet sites, even down to the county, down to the cities, where you just can't even access certain websites. If Denver decided they don't want you to be able to access
just by address, dude,
by whatever, they could do that. They could shut down a URL that's inside of that network of Xfinity and whoever else.
I don't know if you watched that episode. I think who was it? It was I don't know if it was Theo or no, it was PBD. He was talking about the adult website Pornhub has been banned in certain states. So you're not able to.
Video's going to get deleted because you just said that.
What?
Yeah, pretty much.
Just kidding. Go ahead.
Video is going to get deleted because you said PH.
Vince is like, my favorite episode, which I miss watching in Florida, is episode number 15525.
No, I think Carlos's eyes open up like, what?
Protein brownies. This is what I buy on TikTok. I'll tell you a story about this. I gave this to Vince when he was in town, and he loved it because he doesn't like eating healthy stuff. All right.
Nothing's happening, bro.
How high did he get?
The government has no balls.
It's not one of those brownies. No, I agree with LeBeau. I don't think it's going to, I just think it's too valuable to too many people, and they're going to figure out a way.
I just have to tell you, and again, I just want to reiterate the fact that I'm not a right winger, nor am I like a left winger. I'm not, dude. I'm a moderate through and through. But the fact that, I can't make my own decisions about what I choose to pay attention to.
No, I agree, dude.
Is like it. That's a sore spot for me. And you look, what information is and this is my naiveness here, but what information is the Chinese government taking from me other than my credit card that I can shut off if there's fraud?
Yeah, you're sounding real naive, I guess. I don't know. Location? I don't know.
Oh, so
proximity to schools, proximity to
how is that like detrimental information to have? So the Chinese government is interested in where I am, where Carlos Luna is?
And that's why I made the point of like I don't understand. I don't think it's
Well,
about that.
I
I think
would
it's
I would
about
push back just a little bit on that, and I don't know. I'm with you, Carlos. I think you're moderately smart, and maybe I am too in your modericity. But just kidding.
My
No,
modericity.
I just made that up. No, but I think now I forgot what I was going to say because my brain
you're
doesn't
going to
work.
push back on the information that they're collecting, Joe.
Yeah,
because
because
you're moderately old. That's
Modericity.
why you
two
forgot.
reasons. Two reasons. They're making money from us, and they're finding vulnerabilities. Those are the two reasons that they want to shut it down.
Yeah, they're just lurking. They're just lurking, dude.
They
That's
know
the
what we
thing.
love. They know we like to buy crap and we put it in storage bins and then we sell it or we give it to freaking the Ark. You know what I mean? Like in a week.
Yeah,
So
the
again-
long. Maybe
again,
it's a
give us
long term
me
business
therapy.
is that? Whose
To eat and
business
leave it
is
on your
that?
desk.
And how does that benefit the federal government or us as a country to stop that?
Because
Like,
it's a long term.
No, I'm not saying that's
maybe,
I'm not
Carlos.
saying
Like,
that's anybody's business. I'm saying they're making money from us and maybe the US doesn't like that. And they're also discovering vulnerabilities, like how we think, where we go, the clusters of people in this area that do this and finding infrastructure vulnerabilities within all that. So because it could be that it's not just the app collecting data, but it's the app collecting other data on your phone that is, again, locations and whatever. And I don't know what that can do more than grab a credit card number or whatever.
Conversation.
But
how can we-
evidently, to your point earlier, they might know something that we don't.
regarding the tax conversation that LeBeau brought up, and I think actually that's a really insightful guess, but you're wrong. Uncle Sam is still going to get their
They're
money,
still
dude.
getting
they're
their
still gonna
money.
get money.
They're
I'm
still
not
getting
saying
their
that.
money. You're
He's
right. I was
gonna-
going to
he's
say
gonna
that.
be
Even to Joe's
bringing you out
point,
at the
man,
ankles.
you
Ankle
know,
pants.
like those patterns, the patterns that we do, the patterns that we have, the habits, the mannerisms, like all
Again,
those
dude,
things,
what is
they're gonna
what
collect it
what
because
is
Carlos,
the
you're
benefit
sounding
other
really
than to
naive,
sell us
bro.
crap?
You're
What is
sounding
the
naive.
benefit to having that information other than selling us a bunch of crap?
No, but if they streamline that crap to one direction, then they know how to push the control. That's the thing. They know how to navigate the control of who we are.
So you're going to go and storm the Capitol because they don't
I'm
want
not
they want
storming.
to stop selling Twinkies or something like that.
See, I told you he
No.
wasn't a right winger.
See, you're sounding really.
I'm just saying, dude. Listen. I'm
I
just
agree. I
I'm
agree
trying
with
to
you.
inject
I'm-
some insight here because
I'm
I
on
feel
your
like
side. I'm on
you're
your
not
side.
on my side.
I
You're
do.
never on my
think it's
side. Stop
wrong. I
saying
think
that.
it's wrong that
Well,
they're
because
trying
of
to
your cheeks, it doesn't really
censorship.
matter what side
I
we're
think
on.
that it's wrong that they're
They
trying to
still show
censor
equally.
what we decide to consume. That's absolutely wrong. That's
Yeah.
that's
All right, let's move
despicable.
on. Let's
It's
move on,
wrong
'cause
and it's
we get totally-
immature and it's controlling. I'll
Sure.
go on the record on saying that.
Well, we all have our
Agreed.
predictions. We'll come back to this next week and see who is the closest to getting it. All
Did
right.
Vince
I'm
get
not.
what was Vince's prediction? Sorry.
Oh yeah, did you predict?
Yeah, I predicted that it
See, he's not even
will-
listening to us.
I predicted that it'll be about 30 days, possibly,
Oh, okay.
and
Better
by
go
then
black.
it'll be bought by an American ownership company.
All right, Vince, this is yours right here. You say it. I already said it once. Can only say so many words a night.
I'm just a
I'm just a
grown
grown kid.
I'm just a grown ass kid.
All right. I reached my limit, my threshold. All right. Talk to me.
Over the years, I've realized that as guys, and I don't know if it's women as much, because when guys grow up, we don't really grow up.
We don't grow up. What are you talking about?
We
You're like Peter
you,
Pan.
you think of the stuff we're doing. We want to go out and like play ball still, but it's in a different
I'm ready to
way.
go TP someone's house right now.
We want to go out and hit a ball. We want to go out and
I have something I want to show you guys.
I
regarding
mean
that.
there's things that we're still gonna do, and when we get together as guys, the maturity level, especially the guys, it depends on it. I mean, if it's the four of us just hanging out off camera, we're idiots, you know?
What if you've always been sophisticated and mature?
And
Who
I
are you
know you're not
talking
talking
about?
about yourself.
Nobody is that nobody here?
All right, let me see if you guys could see this, right? I hope this works, but to your point.
We can see it, but we can't hear it.
Okay, let me
Yeah, that was good though.
All right, let me see.
We didn't have to hear it.
All right, hold on.
We didn't have to hear it, dude. But that's a good one. You got to get your audio right, Joe.
Dude, I know. What the heck? Hold up.
Did we step back?
Oh my gosh,
my
dude.
gosh.
It's over. The moment's gone.
See what technology has on?
So stupid.
Yeah. Dude, why didn't you send this in the group chat? How are you missing this one?
We're Mexican. We're not gay. We just had gay at work.
Yeah.
So stupid, dude.
You should have sent that one in the
Anyway,
group chat.
yeah. Thanks,
See what
Moses,
TikTok
for
has
sending me
done to
that.
you?
What's that?
You see what TikTok has done to you, dude?
Yeah, that's why they're banning it.
You see what it has done to you?
That was actually Instagram.
Dude,
Anyway,
the Chinese are gonna know that we're Mexican and we're not gay. We're just gay at work.
no, but I think it's a fun topic to Vince. Like, I'm glad Vince put it. He always has some pretty creative stuff because
there
we
is
don't
some
grow
truth
up.
to that though, because here's the thing: at Christmas time, I'm the most excited about getting the lights up. The
I'm gonna eat
girls,
one of
you know,
my
I think the
TikTok
girls
brownies.
like it, but at the end of the day, I think I get more joy out of it than they do.
So it also goes to the fact of, and I'm sure Carlos can
Oh,
relate
that
to
sounds
this.
great. Do it again.
He's
I'm
acting like
sure.
a grown ass kid.
Dude, that's so. Can't stand those videos.
So like Carlos, I mean, when Carlos has had a few drinks, I mean,
Sorry.
dude,
You're such a grown kid.
They were displaying it in real time.
Real-time display.
So Carlos, when you've taken back a few, I mean, how your maturity level, how far back does it go?
Yeah, but that's different, dude.
No,
That,
what do you mean it's
yeah,
different?
he
because
just
you're
wants to
you're
gamble when
like
he drinks.
incapacitated, bro.
No,
Like that's
we know.
different. When you're under the influence, you can't hold me accountable for things that I do after I drink.
That's the problem. Is like
He
you're
just wants to
taking back.
gamble after he drinks, dude. You just get
You're
a couple
thinking
beers and Carlos, he's like, "Ah, go to the tables, let's go."
Carlos is like, this is something I've never done before. I'm 20 years old, all over again.
Me.
Everybody's going streaking.
Let's go. Have you guys heard of streaking? I never even heard of that before. He says.
Everybody's doing it.
What do you mean? He said, like I actually did that. I've never done that.
You've
Carlos,
never gone streaking before?
I'll defend you, man. You don't act like that.
You've never gotten your underwear after getting drunk?
No, dude.
He doesn't even need to get drunk. Bro, this guy drunk drives without drinking, bro.
He doesn't need to.
Dude, he can flips a car with no alcohol.
That's true.
Yeah.
I do a lot of stupid things, but yeah.
He said do.
Bro, I'm serious. There has been times in my life where I'm like, I think to myself, it pops in my head. I'm like, man, I hope Carlos's family is safe because I know that fool falls asleep everywhere. I worry about your wife and kids, dude.
What?
Yeah, bro. There's random times in my life where I'm like, man, I wonder if Carlos drove this weekend because his wife and kids, they're in danger.
Dude, my wife and kids could not be any safer. They're in great hands.
On Martin Reservoir, I was like, oh man, I hope this guy doesn't pass out on the wheel on the way there. I'm gonna feel terrible because I invited him on this long road trip.
Oh yes,
I did,
That's funny, dude.
I was scared.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, that's funny.
I do a lot of immature things, though. It's a part of who I am. It's a part of my DNA.
Sorry.
What
We're
was
talking
Joe
about.
saying earlier about
Yeah, he
farts
said,
being
"I won't
funny
forget." Yeah, he
in
said,
the car?
yeah. Say it, Joe. What you were saying earlier.
Something
No,
that
I'm
you
not
do
gonna
all the
say it.
time.
I'm not
Something
gonna
that
say
you
it.
do
Come
all the
on,
time
dude.
that you said is
No,
disgusting.
it was like a joke that I heard, but I did start by saying, like, for guys, a fart will always be funny. Like, no matter what, it's always gonna be funny. That's why Jack whatever has how many millions of followers, because he walks around in Walmart and pushes his little fart machine thing. Tell me you guys don't have subscription to that channel.
No, I'm
I
too
don't, but I
mature.
know I've
You guys are
I've
whack.
seen it.
You
I
don't
think
know
I've seen
you don't
it
know a
too.
good laugh. All I was gonna say is, you had a stinky fart when it's coming out and you smell it before you even finish letting it out. And that's
Bro, that's never happened to me before.
like you're already smelling it and you're not even done
No
giving
way,
it.
Oh,
bro.
dude, that's so
You know,
bad.
Dude,
Joe's
that's a
still
long range
like
ripper.
as soon as it comes out, Joe's like,
I can't believe you're still ripping it.
Why,
I didn't say I'm
dude?
still
Yeah.
ripping it.
You
I'm just
said
saying.
before you finish, you said you
I
smell it
said
before
you
finish.
do. I didn't say that happened to me. I said I heard
Okay.
a comedian. that
All
would
right,
be-
let's do something
comedian.
fun. Give me a percentage.
I'm a comedian sometimes. Could have been.
How big of a percentage do you guys think that Joe has actually done it? I'm going to say 100%.
100%.
He's
I'm gonna
definitely
go with
done that.
100.
it's on a daily basis. I mean,
Dude.
actually hourly
You're-
basis.
You're a jerk, right?
Dude,
now.
that's why you think farting is funny, because you fart a lot. And you
No,
think it's
farting is funny.
It's
But
It
funny.
is
yeah,
funny.
that's crazy.
Anyway.
I won't deny it is funny.
Carlos is a little bit mature with this white strip, on his head.
I think he got that white strip from one of your farts.
I got too close to the danger zone.
Oh.
Dang.
Oh my goodness.
All right, keeping us on track here.
All right. Jumping on the bandwagon. Talk to us, Vince.
Go,
This is
Vince.
you.
All right, guys. This kind of goes along with, I mean, us.
This is what you're
as-
professional at.
Yeah, jumping on the bandwagon. I'm
Talk to us.
I'm gonna be wearing a Kansas City shirt next week.
Oh, dude, you're
no.
banned.
No way.
Banned.
No.
Go there.
See, Carlos, this is why bans happen.
You must be Chinese.
We got to eliminate him from the podcast immediately.
No,
Oh, my
that's not what this is about. No,
All right.
you realize, like, over a lifetime, us the term jumping on the bandwagon, doing stuff.
What's funny to me is not the fart. It's funny to me that you actually did it and then laughed at it.
That's funny.
You know what this is? Is the Roadcaster app. Look at that.
Oh, yeah.
And
So
Says
you
Joe.
have a fart uploaded.
that was
on your
it comes on it. It comes on it.
You can add it to there.
See that? Even the little icon. Anyway.
Dude, that was
Sorry.
Joe's first search. As soon as he got the app, he's like, "Is there farts on the app?"
He's all wet one that I can smell in my mind.
Disgusting.
There
Let's
is a
move
wet
on
one.
from that then. Let's go. Jump on the
See,
bandwagon.
that's funny.
Wait.
That's
I'm gonna
funny.
jump on. No.
Dude.
Dude.
Dude, that's
Look how
that's
happy
the-
he is. He's
All
like,
right.
Showing
he
his
just
wet
opened
stuff,
best
bro.
gift
Clapper.
for Christmas.
All right. We keep for. Okay.
Ugh.
All right, Vince. Sorry. My
I
bad.
smelled that.
All right, guys.
Your
and-
upper lip.
So I think we've all jumped on a bandwagon in our lifetime, whether it was to just want to be cool, want to be a part of something, want to be just involved in something. I know over the years I've have jumped to a bandwagon to try and fit into a certain situation. And it's crazy to me. And the only reason why I brought this up is because I really feel like just now more than ever, it's become more of a political thing about jumping on bandwagons, jumping on political bandwagons, jumping on religious bandwagons. We're going to talk about a debate that we heard earlier, but I feel like sometimes when I'm listening to some of these podcasts, some of these celebrities speaking, even I feel like they're jumping on the Jesus bandwagon, and whether that's true, whether they're just doing it for a time being, um, which I'm always happy that somebody is seeking God in that sense, but I feel like things that come about, they become, it's like that term, you're just jumping on the bandwagon because this is what's trending right now. This is what's cool right now. And we think about it when we were kids. We would jump on a bandwagon because everybody else is doing it. Oh, like I remember when I was in elementary school, I was getting so much grief because I didn't cuss at all. So everybody's like telling me, "Oh, look at this little Christian boy," and this and that. People would like make fun of me.
Hated when you didn't
So
cuss.
I was on that bandwagon too. Yeah, Carlos.
yeah. But over the time, you're like, well, maybe I need to start like throwing some words around, and then you realize
Oh,
when you're an
dang.
adult, it doesn't really matter if I'm saying words or not, or. But it seems to continue into adulthood for people in general, whether you call it peer pressure. I look at it as jumping on a bandwagon. We look at it in sports terms. People jump into different teams and this and that, but I think I don't know how dangerous it is right now though for the political and religious landscape for people jumping on these bandwagons, because you get other people following, and then these other people, and then when they decide, oh, that was good for a season, I'm going to jump back off, and then everybody's kind of like lost in a position of, well, was that true, was it authentic, or was I just kind of conned into being part of
Who's
this?
done that you know? Like, give me
You
any
want me to
example.
name names like
Sure,
celebrities?
if you want.
Well,
I know a
I,
few that I could name, but
so I one in particular, and I know like Mark Wahlberg is a guy who stands out to me. Russell Brand, I don't know. I know that he went through a lot in his time as in his career, and all of a sudden he's like really pushing right now his faith. But I always have that guard up as somebody who's been a follower of God and my faith for all these years. And like I said, it's always good to see somebody seeking God, you know, if it's true authenticity. But I even with the political landscape, you see, like 2 years ago, a lot of these people who are jumping on the Trump bandwagon, even, and you guys know what I'm talking about, that now things that are happening in the political landscape, people are jumping on that situation. Is it just because, well, it's okay to now? This is kind of how I always felt, and now it's okay to because everybody else is kind of doing it? Or is it like, uh, or am I just doing it because everybody else seems to be doing it right now and it's kind of the trending thing to do? So I don't know.
I would say, and maybe this is just me being too sophisticated, but I would
sorry,
say,
I'm
I
not getting on that bandwagon.
the things that you described they're pretty deep, like, concepts, and they're pretty deep themes that people think about. And I would be curious to know what a psychologist would think about something like that. Like, what is the science behind people wanting to be a part of the masses, right? Like, they don't want to be an outcast. They don't want to be an outlier to the rest of society.
Well,
Um,
everybody wants to belong. Like that's why people join gangs. That's why people join,
y-
those kind of
yeah, but
Exactly.
but
institutions.
yes, but when something as big as, like, religion, for example, right? Um, Vince talked about a couple of celebrities that he thought maybe might have jumped on the bandwagon. I mean, that's a pretty big, like, topic in their mind that they're thinking about, that they're feeling, you know what I'm saying? Like, and quite honestly, you don't become a Christian to belong. I mean, it's actually, when you become a Christian, it almost feels like you become an outcast, like you become an
Yeah.
outlier. Um, Now, there's probably different conversations to that, where if you find some friends on K-Love, they're going to play your music, or if you find some friends at church, you're going to belong. But in society in general, I think that when you choose to follow God, you almost do become, an outcast, an outlier, because you don't necessarily subscribe to the same thing that the masses subscribes to. So I would be curious to hear from like a psychologist what the science is behind that. Like, is it a chemical reaction that somebody has? Certainly, I believe it goes deeper than that. I believe that it's a spiritual, right, response to a spiritual call that you get. But who knows, right? I mean, in certain people, maybe it is just about belonging or wanting to feel something that they think other people have. I don't know.
But
Um,
and to be honest, that's kind of what Christianity is based off of. You want to be like you're seeking, and you want people to seek God. You want people to find that relationship with God. And I think what's dangerous sometimes is like people see people that have like, oh, I'm fully converted. This is who I am now, but they're still speaking in the way they've always spoke. Like they've talked to people, they're doing things that they've always done as a non-believer. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it just sounds disingenuous. They're like, their bandwagon just sounds disingenuous in the way that they're
Like, yeah,
approaching it after they jump on it, right?
yeah, like I'm seeking God, but I'm still taking on an acting role that depicts me as the person that I still was or I'm not, you know. I don't know. And
I would think that the subject of like bandwagon probably applies more so to, um, I'm going to say, painting your house a certain way because, that's the popular scheme that's out now, right? Or buying a
Brand.
certain brand, yeah, because it's the in thing now. Um, I'm thinking about what I've recently bought, and that's exactly right. I mean,
Growing
it
a
was
mustache.
or growing a mustache, yeah. Even though I shaved mine, you guys haven't even said anything.
You look good.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I feel like
Yeah.
myself.
You
But
look like
yeah,
a
I mean,
strapping
is
young
it
lad.
a young, sophisticated lad that
So
doesn't laugh at farts? But I think that, with regard to the jumping on the bandwagon thing, I do think that there is some science behind it, right? And I think that it is really interesting. Part of it, I think, is innate to LeBeau's point earlier. We all want to belong. We all want to be a part of something. Nobody wants to stand out, like, in a bad way, right? Certainly if there are 100 knuckleheads doing something idiotic, I have no problem standing out from that crowd, right? I'm not going to hesitate. But if there are, 100 really fit dudes that have great hair and, have great fashion sense, the guys that Joe hangs around with, then maybe I do want to be like them, right? I'm going to go get that $300 gym membership. I'm going to go do the cold plunges, and I'm going to go, jump on that bandwagon through the month of January because I want to be like them, right? So I think it's a totally valid subject.
yeah, there's a lot of different nuances and directions that could be applicable to, I guess, if you would. It could be as easy, as fun as just doing something fun for the season, a
Or
color, a
buying a
fashion,
Jeep.
buying a Jeep, or it could be to, I think what Vince you might have seen as just maybe the celebrity side. Is it genuine? Is it not? Or are they just jumping on a bandwagon? That personally irritates me. I've seen a few reaction videos to uh, uh, Officer Tatum. His name is Brandon Tatum. He's a YouTuber, right winger definitely, and he injects God in a lot of his content. And when I hear it, I just like, does he really know what he's talking about though, or does he just capturing a bigger audience by doing that? Like he knows enough about God. But the other day, somebody was reacting to a video where he said, we got to be like Jesus, and Jesus said that we would do even greater things than him. I mean, even the disciples forgave sins, and even they did this. And even I was like, wait. Like, dude, you're saying now you're just talking nonsense, you know? Like now that just like let the cat out of the bag where what are we talking about? That's like the disciples never forgave sin. Like you do not know what you're talking about by making
Like
that statement,
even
you know?
like
Well, you know, if someone sins against you, you could forgive them, right? So in that sense, you forgive sin. Now you don't cleanse sin, right? Uh, you're not gonna reconcile that soul with God. Like only one
Yeah,
thing does that, right?
forgiving somebody and forgiving sins, I believe is, you know, in the context he was using, he was literally saying we could do what Jesus did. When Jesus forgave people of their sins, we can do that too.
but I
And
think your point
so
is like
It's
along with the
that's a thin line to walk right there for sure.
yeah, it's
but
that
I
dude
think
don't
your
know what he's
point
talking
is
about.
that, you know, they're using this platform, like the right-wing platform. Well, Jesus is kind of part of the package of the right-wing platform,
Sure.
everybody feels like. So it's like that
Don't
that
do that
that
if you
has to
don't know
be a
what you're
part of,
freaking talking about.
yeah, that has to be a part of my package, because along with the right wing is Jesus, God, Christianity, which that's not what the intention's for. I mean, there's plenty of Christians that are on the left side of the platform that are part of the Democratic Party that I know that are, I mean, faithful Christians, you know, and
Yeah, they just shouldn't say what they don't know. I mean, even if they
yeah,
believe in God, don't say stuff that are deeply theological, in my opinion, when he said that. And you have a large platform, 3 million people, and everybody's saying, "Oh yeah, that was such a great video." That's, you know, looking through the comments, and I'm like commenting, the disciples never did that, you know. And there was like an argument under my comment. It's like, you know, anyway.
I think at the end of the day, at
Because
the end
it's
of the
not
day,
Mission
true.
accomplished.
It's not
Divide
true.
and conquer.
at the end of the day, dude, I don't go right, I don't go left, I don't go up down. I don't go with
That's not what I heard.
the cross. I don't go hellfire and brimstone. At the end of the day, it's just important that no matter which spot you put yourself in, that you're just your authentic self, that you're just always true to who you are
yes.
and what you're doing. You know,
Can I
no
just
matter if
say,
you're cheering for one side or another, but just if you're doing that, make sure you're doing it
And
with your authentic self.
I don't think there's nothing wrong with hitching yourself to, like, you know, jumping on a bandwagon, but is it truly where you want to be, or you just doing it because I need to kind of fit into this mold that society says I have to fit into, you know,
it's
whether
it's like you're exploiting, right, something or
yeah,
someone. I totally get
Yeah.
where you're going with that. I just have to say this though about Joe's comments, and I do agree with you, Joe. I think that when you do have a large audience like that paying attention to you, you need to be more careful about the information that you put out. You have to be responsible. Um, that aside, or that being said, I don't want anybody who's a young Christian that's watching to feel like, oh, well, I can't talk about my faith because I don't know deep theology, or I don't know,
Good point.
enough to talk about it, right? Because that's almost that's not what Christ would want, right? He wants everybody to talk about their experience with God, regardless of how much theology you know or how long you've been going to church. It's a matter of, I think, and this is the crux of the conversation here. It's a matter of the sincerity and the authenticity. Like, is it authentically you, or
Authentically.
is it really coming from a place that you want to exploit that message for the sake of attention or for the sake of notoriety? Right.
Yeah.
well, I
I
think
think that's
it's
what we're
Yeah.
I
saying.
No,
think
and
there's a
I
hold there,
appreciate.
I think there's a hold on, I think there's a difference of um telling people your experience in Christ and then telling people how they need to experience Christ. You know,
Mhm.
when you don't have the
Yeah.
knowledge to tell people this is the way you need to experience, instead of just sharing, man, this is the way God has affected my life, you know, and kind of giving somebody encouragement that way, instead of telling somebody this is the way it is when you don't even know that's the way it is, you know,
Yeah.
because there's no experience in
Well,
not knowing that, you know.
I thank you for saying that, Carl. And I agree, Vince. I agree 100%. Thank you for clarifying that because we should share our faith. But we should be honest when we don't know the answers. We should say, you know what? I don't know. All I know is God, it's changed my life. And they might ask you a question that you don't know, and that's okay to not know. But I'll give you one more example. Jelly Roll, love his music. I think he's a sincere guy. He's super cool. He was on the Andrew Schultz podcast. He's been on a couple times already, but about a year ago, he was on there and he was talking about just how he's really coming back to his faith. And I believe him. He had a rough childhood. If you ever hear his story, it's just crazy, like, in and out of jail and his addictions and everything he's overcome. But he said, I visited a church that had a coffee shop in it. And I could just imagine Jesus like saying, don't make my temple, a place to make money, and like, he just totally like misrepresented like the local church and came down on every church in America that had coffee, you know what I mean, for sale. And whether it's for sale, whether it's not, doesn't even matter. But the context of what that happens, like a lot of these churches, and again, we don't have to go into this, but they use those funds for missions. They use it to fund other things cost money, right, Carlos? Like, we know this. And we, those coffee creates community. Like, there's all these things, all these reasons why a church would have coffee. And he just spoke on something that, in my opinion, was like deeply theological. Like, he's attaching what Jesus did when they were, selling, making money in the temples, to trying to relate that to a modern day church selling coffee in the foyer, in the entrance. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, like it didn't make any sense. And he has all of this, and they're like, yeah, wouldn't do that either. It's like, I don't know. That's the internet for you, I guess.
Well, I think that we're all, free to deduce what we choose to deduce from someone's commentary. I'll be frank with you guys. Some of my early sermons that I preached were whack. They were so bad, right?
I would agree.
Bad.
They were so bad. No, here's the thing. I remember when I think I was like 20 years old, not married, no kids. I remember preaching about family. I remember preaching about like raising children and being a husband. And it's like, what are you talking about? You have none of those things, right? But I was going straight from the Bible, and I thought, I was interpreting and translating accurately. But the way that it came across to people was superficial. It came across, a bit like was uninformed, because I hadn't lived that life, right? Yeah. So I say that to say this: my heart was in the right place. I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought I was saying what God would approve of me saying. But the audience, certain people of the audience, now not everybody, it wasn't like the church got up and walked out, but there were some people I could see visibly were like, this hot Latino guy, he probably shouldn't be talking about.
Yeah, to put hot in there.
Yeah, this dude should not be talking about kids. Like, you know what I'm saying? He probably has 20 kids
that he doesn't know about. No, that's fair. That's fair. Like, we all come from our experience, and maybe he had like a crazy upbringing, and church experience or whatever. That's fair.
And like I said, I don't know if it's so much I should be calling it a bandwagon, because don't get me wrong, I love that people are seeking God. I love that people want to be a part into something, but it just drives me nuts when I see like it's more of a trend than just authenticity of actually going to somewhere.
I wonder, Vince, and I'll be honest with you, I don't know if you guys would agree with this, but I have seen more professional athletes lately proclaiming their faith publicly than ever before.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if
we've all noticed it.
If that's coincidence. I don't know if it's a bandwagon or a fad, but dude, I saw a TikTok the other day. This is why I want to save TikTok. No, I don't. I have no opinion on it, because I'll go to Instagram and Facebook, whatever. But I saw this video that was talking about how the OSU players, right, were prompting a revival in their town because they were all so devoted to their faith. Like, that is crazy to me, right? Is that a bandwagon? I don't know. I mean, is that, are the players just gravitating towards the things of God because the team is, or are they sincerely seeking the things of God? Who knows, right? We're never going to know that. But the fact is, there is a cool message that's coming out about God and about Christ and about the church on a level that I personally have never seen before, which I think is awesome.
Yeah,
I agree. It's coming from
Uh,
college too. It's
yeah,
and they're moving into the pros.
I want to say, did you guys watch the Notre Dame game?
Yes.
So we'll talk about like, just like your immaturity, your uninformedness that you're talking about, Carlos, and just not knowing like quite where you're at with the whole thing and all that stuff. The kid that was a quarterback for Notre Dame after the game, he said a comment and it like struck me so weird. Like typically people say, God bless you all, God bless us all, good night, like type of thing, right? This kid, he was like, Jesus bless us all, Jesus bless us, good night. And I was like, man, that just sounds kind of just weird. Like, thank God, he could do your thing, bro. Like, love God with all your heart. But the way he said that, it was was that weird to you guys, or is that just weird to me? Like, I didn't get it.
I didn't hear that one.
Yeah,
but I do.
And like that's the thing was I really genuinely hope that all this is really authentic with the celebrities, with these athletes. I really truly do, because it's awesome to see.
Yeah, because who are we to question, right? At the end of
Yeah,
the day.
I mean, because I don't know if Mark Wahlberg. I really hope to God that Mark Wahlberg is really seeking, and I'm not perfect. I do plenty of things that I'm at fault of sinning daily. But I
You're
just
pretty dirty, yeah.
yeah. But he has such a big influence, like somebody like him, somebody like even Joe Rogan. I know that he's like really seeking, by pulling on these guys like Will, and um he's had other people who have professed their faith. Even like you see like Kid Rock, I'm like, man, is this guy really genuinely seeking God? He talks about seeking God, but I mean, he's still like doing a lot of things, in the world that people are like, oh, well, you're just the same Kid Rock. Why, this is how Christianity could be. Then, oh, sure, I'll jump on that bandwagon if I could just still do this and that, and it'd be okay. Do you guys know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I just want there to be authenticity with it. If Kid Rock, I mean, if he's truly seeking God, that's amazing. To see a guy like that come from the world that he has, but is he really seeking to change and to make a difference in that community?
Well, let me
I
tie
hope
this
so.
up, and then we can make a transition into the Wes Huff and Billy Carson thing to wrap it up. But what comes to mind is Philippians 1:18, where Paul is being asked about the motives of other people preaching the gospel in that day. And he said in Philippians 1:18, he said, but what does it matter? The important thing is that in every way, whether from false motives or true, Christ is preached. And because of this, I rejoice. And so Paul's basically saying, like, whatever the motive is, at least Jesus' name is on national TV right now. John 3:16.
And who are we to judge, right?
Yeah.
Like, and who are we to question it? Like,
I think we have intuition and we have a spirit for a reason. Like, you could just tell in most cases if somebody is genuine or not. Some cases you can't, but
But even if you did tell that person was completely not genuine, completely false, a straight up liar, who are we to judge? Like, at the end of the day, right?
And people fall. I think Kanye was pretty genuine in his faith, and then he
I think he really
over his divorce, and flip
I
backwards
honestly
now.
think like these guys are really seeking, but there is just so much out there that is,
Well, it's pressure that we don't know anything about
yeah,
because of
exactly.
their fame. But let's move on to that Wes Huff and Billy Carson debate. I'm going to give you guys an overview real quick and just kind of read this situation that happened recently. And for those of you who don't know, that way you understand. In October of 2024, just a few months ago, there was a Christian apologist by the name of Wesley Huff and author Billy Carson, who has been on Joe Rogan and PBD podcasts and all kinds of other podcasts. He's pretty popular. He engaged in a debate on Mark Minard's Elevating Beyond podcast, discussing the validity of Christianity. And so Huff, with a background in theology and apologetics, presented well-researched arguments, while Carson, known for his views on ancient civilizations and alternative histories, appeared less prepared. Many viewers felt Huff effectively countered Carson's points, leading to a perception that Carson's arguments were inadequate and inadequately supported. And so following the debate, Carson issued a cease and desist letter to Huff and Minard, alleging unauthorized use of his name and likeness, and shared clips from claiming that he was unprepared for the discussion. And so this kind of blew up. This went from Wesley Huff, who is a Canadian apologist who happened to know somebody who knew Billy Carson and wanted to do a fun debate, to Wes Huff really knowing his stuff regarding what Billy Carson thought he knew about and just kind of toasted him up. And if you guys have seen the debate at all, Billy Carson just says he doesn't even counter anything in the argument over what they were debating about. He just says, "Oh, I could respect that. Let's move on." Like he just totally like bows down to, him being wrong, him not having a response for it. And so
I think that the hubris and pride makes us do a lot of things, and I think that as people start to get a little bit of notoriety, they really start to, to put it in the terms of my 20-year-old, they start feeling themselves, they start feeling like they really know what they're talking about. They are a subject matter expert. And Billy Carson experienced what Mike Tyson, was it Mike Tyson who said, everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the mouth?
Mm-hmm.
Right. He got punched in the mouth, man.
Yeah.
And there's no other way to put it. What I find interesting, number one, is Billy Carson had 3 million followers, I think, millions of followers at least on YouTube. Wes Huff had like 200,000.
He had 12,000.
12,000?
And now he has
When he started?
412,000. Like
So
he literally grew by 400,000 in the last few months.
So my point in bringing that up is it's clear, right, that this message that Billy Carson had been talking about, and it's not just religious documents, it's a lot of historical documents that he claims he is an authority in ancient
An expert.
documents,
Yeah.
right? And so
Mhm.
all of these people really drank the Kool-Aid, right? All of these people really believed to the point to where they wanted to hear more and more from him. That's why they subscribed to his channel.
Yeah.
To me, it's like, number one, there is a lot of gosh, I don't know how to say this without coming off like an a-hole, but there are a lot of ignorant people out there in the world that just consume the information, take it, as gospel, or take it as the truth or
That's well said.
factual,
Yeah.
and they run with it, right? And that to me is destructive to society. That's why you have so many idiots out there, again, I sound like an a-hole here,
No.
but so many people out there just, word vomiting about politics, about religion, about, women's rights, about gay rights, that they have no business ever talking about because they really don't have the facts, right? And so that's where you have these guys that really just have the attitude. I love what Wes Huff said. He said, confidence is not the same thing as what was it? Competence.
Competence.
right? So
Yeah, I
it
said that on
absolutely
PBD.
isn't. You have a guy who's willing to go on his podcast, right, and speak to the masses without being afraid of the repercussions as to whether or not he's right or not, in terms of having the facts straight. 3 million people end up following him, and you have this other guy who really is an unknown. I had never heard of Wesley Huff ever before this, who was all about, right, the facts. He was all about the academics behind these ancient documents. And man, he punched him in the mouth. It wasn't even nice. Like Wes Huff was very polite in
He
terms
was
of how
nice about it.
he engaged with
I'm
him.
gonna interject there. I don't believe that. I thought he was arrogant. I thought he was condescending. I thought he was closed-minded. He wasn't trying to listen. Like, I'm on the other bandwagon, bro, on that part, because I think his delivery could have been better. I think that he kept scoffing him when he would try to make a point. He kept scoffing him, and even when he wanted not to be argumentative and move on, Wes was like, "No, well, these are the facts. These need to be the facts. These needs to be the groundwork." And he didn't want to hear any of, what that Billy Carson guy was saying about, where the facts that he was trying to come, or with the they were arguing over this one particular thing. It was
The
like
Codex
theoretical.
Sinaiticus.
Yeah, they were arguing over this one, or but the theory of it, Joe, or like a theory of it, or what was
No,
he
the
saying?
actual
But Wes Huff kept bringing up this point of arguing over the factual theory, or like the factual like
Well,
documents,
if
and I'm
you're a
like,
trained
bro, like,
researcher, here's the difference, LeBeau. If you're a trained researcher versus a layman
and that's
person
where I felt like
versus a lay person,
I feel that's
listen, there's stuff that you shouldn't even be talking about as a lay person because you have no clue, right? Now, I can say that because um, uh, Billy Carson was not talking about anything that was factual, and that's the tragedy, right?
no,
So
he
when
was
you have a
talking about
trained academic like this guy has the recipe for how to research, how to validate facts.
just because you have the recipe doesn't mean you're right, bro.
Dude,
Okay,
it
so
absolutely means you're right
And it
because you
doesn't.
know how to
yeah, it
get to the
Does
does.
not, dude.
destination.
No, it
Okay,
doesn't.
so LeBeau, if the Codex, let me say it right, Codex Sinaiticus literally does have the crucifixion in it, and you have a Billy Carson saying that it never did, meaning that Jesus may have never died. How do you refute? You can't refute
I
that.
don't.
It
I didn't.
literally says it in there, and he
I didn't.
showed him. He pulled it off his shelf and said, "It's right here." That Jesus, you see what I'm saying? Like, you can't, like, how do you get around that?
No, what I think
You
what's happening is
can't.
this is where the misunderstanding is. I think what was happening is that it's just as much as the Wes Huff dude was trying to prove his point. What Billy Carson was trying to do was saying, okay, yeah, fine, prove your point, prove it through your research, prove it through whatever dynamic observation you have. However, you cannot discredit these other things happening in these other cultures that have proof. Maybe it's not a research proof that people have been researched over time. How much has the Bible been researched, dude? That thing's been researched more times than anyone can ever imagine. But they're researching these other cultures, hasn't always happened the same. And that's what he's saying. Yeah, prove your point, fine, but you have to understand that there's another side of this. The other side of this is, don't be so close-minded. There's other things happening in these other societies that are also happening that you're trying to discredit with because factually the research on your end.
He wasn't discrediting everything. He acknowledged that there are other writings out there, and
Yeah, he did. He laughed and he scoffed about it. The guy was like, okay. Like, dude,
Well, but
that
here's
dude
the
turned
thing.
me off, bro. That dude turned me off.
He
I would
laughed
never
once because
follow
of
that
the
guy.
ridiculous
No, dude, there was
answer
like
that
4 different times, bro. I was like, wait, hold on. Like, I rewound it. Like, no, he wasn't laughing. And then I
well,
did it again.
because
Like, what? Why is this
when
dude?
he said, "Are there similarities to two different writings?" Like, he said the equivalent of, they both talk about water, and it's like, a lot of things, talk about what, like, it was just a ridiculous like comparison.
But that's
know?
the point that I'm getting to. When you're a trained academic, you have methodologies to be able to uncover certain facts about the object that you're researching. When you don't have that methodology, you're like trying to shoot a target that you don't know what the target looks like. You're never going to hit it. Whereas this roadmap, this methodology that you use as a researcher literally gives you the path to figuring out the facts about the research subject. When you don't have that, there's absolutely no way that you can like have this conversation with someone that has done the research. It really was like, I was embarrassed for Billy.
Yeah.
I felt bad for him, honestly, because the guy really was, he shouldn't have been on that conversation.
I heard that he wasn't even told he was going to debate this whole entire
Well,
thing.
he was told that they were going to have a conversation
Yeah, they were going to have a
about,
conversation. He was drug into this debate that he wasn't even going
But
to.
he's
and that
still the
wasn't even a
expert.
formal debate. This is the thing.
Billy Carson has for many years done plenty of research, and his research has more been to debunk almost to debunk Christianity throughout his years. I mean, and he has plenty of his education level is, I mean, he's a Harvard, MIT graduate, and I mean, so
He's not
his
dumb, but
his knowledge is there, but it wasn't backed up enough to totally just go against what Will was saying, which was kind of mind-boggling, because I feel like Billy Carson's whole research has been to kind of get into this format, get into this debate. You would think this would be a perfect setup for him to say this is.
They said that it was like it wasn't planned, happened.
I know, but
Wasn't
how much
prepared.
planning do you need if you've spent
if you're
your whole
already an
career?
expert, yeah.
Yeah,
don't
this
need-
is his
Well, and
whole
that's
career.
that was the point that Joe Rogan made, right? When he had Wes Huff on, is he was like, dude, there are a few things, I'm not an expert on tons of things, but the few things that I do know well, you can wake me up at 4 a.m. and I will give you the facts about those things that I'm an
Yep.
expert on. Right. So when you have Billy Carson claiming to be an expert in these ancient documents and doesn't know what is contained within them.
Well, he was, dude. He was, and he kept discrediting him. He was saying, okay, there's hieroglyphics, there's drawings, there's tools that these guys were given by the ancient aliens. He was giving facts. He was giving artifacts and facts of the things that were happening. Also, like, so
Dude,
it wasn't like
within the
nothing.
first 10 minutes of their conversation, he was talking nonsense about verbiage that was contained in the Sinai Bible that isn't in there. So either he didn't read that article, he didn't read that piece of the Sinai Bible, or he misinterpreted it. Either way, you can't assert something is true if you don't know that it's true.
So he did say he misspoke on that, but the problem is he misspoke on every popular podcast in the world, including Joe Rogan,
Right, because he had made those claims many times before.
Yeah, you can't misspeak to millions and millions and millions of people, and then one person pulls it out from behind his shelf and say, "Look, you're wrong." Oh, I must have misspoke. It's like, dude, you've been claiming to be the expert on this for years.
It's just the whole fact of
Like
his
that
his
can't
years
be.
and years of research you don't have to be prepared if you're that researched throughout all those
And
years.
here's what made it worse. His reaction. If he had said, you know what, I'm gonna go back to the drawing board. I'm gonna get some I'm gonna learn from this and make sure I have more factual statements or do my homework a little bit more and humble himself, it wouldn't be what it is. But he literally went back on live and just said Christians are this and he's that, and they got me and I was actually sick, and just making every excuse in the book like a little kid having a tantrum. And it's like that's what actually made it bad.
I want you guys to be clear. I'm not on the side of this guy believing whatever he's believing. I'm on the side of that guy Wes acting like an arrogant prick, dude. They're literally.
But nobody,
And
you're probably the
stopping
only one that
people
thinks
during-
that in the world. Like
No,
nobody
I'm
sees.
not, bro.
I've
You
had
don't-
nobody.
You don't think that Trump acts like an arrogant prick when he was debating with Kamala Harris, bro? Was there times? Tell me right now, there wasn't times that you thought that he was acting like an arrogant
But this is
butthole with his
let's
head up
stick
his
with
butt.
this conversation here.
No, I'm saying, bro. There's
But
a
I
way to
have
deliver it
not
and there's a way
heard
to do it.
anyone say that West was
Dude,
only that he was gracious,
condescending,
was-
closed-minded, didn't want to listen. When he
Well,
tried to move on,
maybe, right?
When he tried to move on to subjects, when he tried to say, okay, let's move on to this, this guy Wes would just bring back around and throw it right back at him. Like, move on.
do we own our cars?
Yes. No, we don't. We do not. We do not own our cars, dude. You have a certificate of title. Don't get me
There
started.
we go.
Bro.
There goes the
The
guy who
car is
don't
not
want to let
yours,
it go.
dude.
No, here's the
Bro.
thing. So you're entitled to your opinion about
Yes, thank
out
you.
west, right?
Yeah,
and that's
cool.
It could be wrong.
That's all I
it's
want to say.
justified. It's, you know what? You're validated.
Thank
You are
you.
validated.
Thank you for validating.
But here's the thing: the
I always
fact of
wanted
the
to be
matter,
a part of validation. I always
of
wanted to fit
course,
in and jump on that bandwagon.
I know. The crux of the matter is you have a guy who has asserted all of these claims in Billy Carson for a long, long time, has made a lot of money off of it. And quite honestly, dude, he was
now you have a
exposed.
new guy.
Hold on. This is going to sound really harsh, but it's the truth. He
Mhm.
was exposed for the fraud that he is because he put some lipstick on a pig and he sold that pig over and over and over and over, made a ton of money, amassed all of these followers, and he didn't even know what he was talking about. That's just the reality. It wasn't, look, part of his excuse was, I didn't know I was going to a debate. That wasn't a debate. People that have watched formal debates will tell you that was not a debate.
Yeah, that was another point. He wasn't told about that happening. Period.
He knew he
he
was
knew
going to be
they were
meeting
gonna-
with Wes. He
that
knew
they were
that
gonna
they
have
were
a
going to be.
debate.
I'll
He
send you
knew-
some podcasts, dude. He knew Wes's history. He knew what
I heard
study,
Wes
his
himself
background
on a
was.
separate podcast say that Billy came on there. He was a friend of the guy that he was with, and he
Mhm.
didn't even know that they were going to have a debate.
No, dude, that's incorrect.
Yeah, that's not
No,
incorrect.
they both knew they were both going to be there. They
I
both
did
knew.
I did some research.
Why else would
myself.
these two people be on the same podcast if not to discuss, what their positions on biblical ancient texts? Like, why else would they, just to say hi? Like,
They were mutual
of course they were
friends with
gonna,
the other guy.
yeah, but of course they were going to have the discussion, and again, to Carlos's point, a debate is, hey, it's been said, blah, blah, blah. Or you once said, what do you think about that? Like, the guy
There are
wasn't
formal
even
rules to a debate, dude.
mediating it.
Debates
They
are
were just
very
talking.
formal. This
Mark-
was an
Mark was
informal
like-
conversation.
Mark felt like he was in the middle of something that he didn't know was going to happen either. So it was a conversation. Man.
I don't know Mark. I've never watched his podcast. I don't know the guy. I will tell you again, this is going to come off really harsh and I'm going to look like an a-hole. I'm okay with that.
He
I
didn't know what he
feel
was
like
talking
his
about either.
comments were so idiotic throughout,
They
dude.
were horrible.
No,
It was
horrible.
like, dude,
Dude,
just
they were
stop
he was
so-
talking, bro.
elementary. Like the way he was talking was elementary. Yes, Carlos.
Dude, they were bad.
But it was
his
idiotic.
comments
It was elementary.
were
It was
so
elementary. It
uninformed.
was uninformed and elementary, but it wasn't idiotic.
Let me give you let me give
They
you
were
an
pretty
example
bad.
of what it was like. It was like me talking to my father-in-law about construction. I have no business talking to my father-in-law about construction. A guy who's done it, he retired from it. He, was an expert at it. He built so many houses and buildings. He's like, I haven't done any of that. Right? For me to have a conversation about construction with my
You wouldn't
father-in-law,
be an idiot if you talked about it.
dude, I would
You would just
sound
be
idiotic
uninformed.
because
You
I
would-
have no
it would-
idea what I'm talking
You would
about.
just be
So-
uninformed
I
in
think it would-
elementary. You wouldn't
Let,
be.
let
an
me
think
give
you're
you an
saying,
example.
Carlos,
Let me give you an
I-
example. They were having this informed debate, right? Conversation, call it whatever you want to call it. Two knowledgeable guys, one clearly getting defeated, the other one, and then Mark would step in and say,
One just way smarter because he's like a researcher. Yeah, go ahead.
and Mark would be like, "Oh, you mean like because the Bible was written by man, and there could be mistakes. Like he would just say something like, "What?
Bro,
Like,
that's elementary.
what are we talking about here?" No,
I
but
know,
it was
dude.
really bad, dude. It was bad.
They're talking about the
okay.
validation of certain ancient writings based on specific historical facts. This is Wes and
Billy.
Carson.
Billy Crystal.
And then you have Mark come in and say, well, I feel. It's like, dude, it's not about what you feel.
Yeah.
It's not about
It was
what
bad. I agree.
you think. Let the grown-ups talk for a minute, and let's just talk about factual historical data. And that's what the conversation was about, dude.
You're
And that's why
basing that factual historical data on one side.
no, dude.
Doing it. You keep basing it all on the Bible, bro. You're so close-minded. You think there's
It
nothing
wasn't
else
about the
out there.
Bible, LeBeau. It was about different. It was about different
all
writings.
It was about
the
different
Bible
writings.
because this one guy's saying that there was a thing that happened in the Bible that didn't happen, right?
No, the Codex Sinaiticus.
That was just one thing, bro. The Sinai Bible is the Codex Sinaiticus or whatever it is that Joe was talking about. And that was just one element of the conversation. The Gospel of Barnabas is another great example.
I'm ignorant then. What is the Codex Sinaiticus? What is that? How does that relate to the Bible? I'm ignorant. Explain it to me.
They call it the Sinai Bible, but it's not actually the Bible.
Okay,
even though it's written very closely in the original language to
before the Bible, after the
transcripts that
Bible,
we
and
use.
Hebrew, like what is happening here?
Say that again.
Is it before the Bible, after the Bible?
It was discovered. It was found by Konstantin von Tischendorf, a German Bible scholar, in 1844.
So it's not the Bible. It's after the Bible in Hebrew.
But it's written very closely to what the Bible says. And so Billy's assertion is that it excluded mention of Jesus's crucifixion, which is totally incorrect. So that got debunked.
It didn't include it, and then they're saying yes, it did include it.
No. Wes is not saying it includes it. It does include it. See, there's a difference, LeBeau. There's a difference in opinion and fact.
Okay, so that's
fact is that it does include it.
All right, so let me tell you this. All right, for the sake of argument, then you're talking about a document closely representing the Bible, right? And that's the only document that makes society and life go around, right?
No.
There's nothing else happening out.
The other documents.
There's a ton of written documents that have contributed to society.
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. This Billy Carson guy was saying that exact point.
But LeBeau, you're acting like somebody found the Bible wrapped up in clothing in the desert, and we have this magical book now that we can live life. Dude, the Bible was discovered at different times. The books of the Bible were discovered at different times. So it's not just based on one document. It's based on
that's what he was
numerous records of history.
So then
let me give you the bird's eye view of this.
And those other societies not be a part of the Bible. Maybe they're a part of the Bible. Maybe the documents that were found in these other in the Egyptian culture or in the Aztec culture, maybe these documents need to be part of the Bible. Maybe these are pieces that were missing from the Bible.
Okay, so
that's what I'm trying to say.
Okay, so his church history in about 397 affirmed, basically the Council of Carthage affirmed that what the Bible would actually be, the 66 books that would be contained in the Bible. They call it the canonization of the Bible. Okay. They found this later. There were a lot of other manuscripts written in that day. They had to decide under God's, under what they knew about the historical evidence and what God put in their hearts as what would be authenticized. And this other biblical book, the Codex Sinaiticus was another type of compiled Bible that had other books in it that weren't canonized, if you will. They weren't part of the original 66.
Yeah, there was
decided on.
There was the two books of,
and he claimed that the crucifixion wasn't in that version. Okay, so that's really like the bird's eye view of this thing. And there's a lot of other books. There are the books of the Apocrypha that the Catholic Bible has that aren't recognized by the canon of Protestantism. There's a lot out there. There's a lot of literature out there.
Okay, so for the sake of argument, Carlos, we're going to go with principle. The guy's an idiot because clearly the crucifixion is in that, right? That's what you're saying. There's factual, right? It's clearly in there.
I mean,
It's
whether
not
it's
an opinion.
He's saying
nobody's
it's
saying
not
he's
in
an
there.
idiot. He's
He's
just
saying
saying
it's
something
not
that's
in there.
not. He's saying it's not in there.
He's
and
saying
it
it's
is.
not in there,
And
but
it is.
clearly, factually, it's in there.
It's
right?
in there.
Correct. He's dumb for doing that. That's dumb.
Right.
But I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that regardless of what's in the Bible, I think there's other things out there. So being in the Bible, believing in the Bible, doing your thing with the Bible, that's great for you if you're Christian. So not everyone's Christian, and not everyone believes that.
And I mean, a lot of the things
Okay.
that
But
you're talking about, and it's what Billy Carson has kind of made a career out of doing, is trying to discover something else outside of the realm of God, the realm of Jesus, being that's what all these other religions have done throughout throughout time, whatever. Because I mean, nobody outside of Christianity, nobody wants to believe that Jesus actually was resurrected, come back to life.
The Jewish
And
people don't even believe that, bro.
I know,
Jewish people don't even believe that
because
Jesus was resurrected, that he came to save, and that he was the Messiah. Even Jews don't believe that.
The rulers didn't want to believe that that was their king, that was their savior. That was
his coming to the world wasn't what they thought it was going to be, right? So to them, it never happened.
Well, it was a threat of like, oh, you're trying to take over rulership over the Jewish people, and the leaders were like, no, this isn't how it works. We're the kings, we're the rulers here, not you. And that's why he was crucified.
Yeah, and
well, they were
just
expecting.
So we're accurate here, the final canonization of the Bible wasn't until the 16th century. The Old Testament was 382. So I just want to just put that out there.
But yes, LeBeau, I do believe, and I think everybody should be, I mean, including myself. I mean, there's a lot of things that I need to still seek knowledge of other religions and why they've come about, because there's a strong belief that even in anything that, that's it's a whole part of, like, people, like I said, people jump on certain bandwagons because sometimes it's the trend, sometimes they're seeking, and my whole thought of, people jumping on the bandwagon of religion, of seeking Jesus, and I truly hope it's authentic, because there's a lot of truth to it. And I think through this conversation of Will and Billy, I think a lot of that was presented in that conversation.
The fact that PBD and Joe Rogan invited Wes tells us that everybody believes it was a demolition of somebody who got really debunked. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because Billy he's been on all
have
these.
Just anybody on their podcast.
Yeah, Billy's been on both of those.
Like, I mean, I really don't care about Joe Rogan. You might like him, you might love him, you might worship Joe Rogan, dude. I don't give a crap about the guy, bro. Honestly, who is he to me? I don't care. I don't care about his opinion. I don't care about what he has to say. Like, I listen to him on a podcast.
But I think what Joe was trying to say is that the magnitude of the outcome was
because he has a bigger audience than us.
No,
I think
that's not what I'm saying.
He's a better person. Like, he's a more influential person. He's more authentic. He's more real.
No, what I'm saying is the outcome, because Billy Carson had gained so much notoriety, so much attention as a perceived expert in ancient documents, that for him to be body slammed like that in this casual conversation, which is what it was.
Well, he did, but then he did come back and say that he misspoke, though.
He misspoke the whole time, dude.
But
it was not misspeaking. It was ignorance.
He said he misspoke about this not being in that apocryphal.
Yeah, and then he cited a different document that turned out to be a forgery. It turned out to be fake, that he didn't know was fake, because he doesn't know the art or the discipline of research. When you claim to be a researcher, you should know how to research things, right? When you claim to be a
Yeah, I
mechanic,
agree with that.
you should know how to be a mechanic. That is why this was so huge,
Yeah.
is because Billy Carson marketed himself, represented himself as an academic, as someone who was an expert, quote, in ancient writings.
But like I
And then
said,
someone else
he's
came
an expert
along.
to who?
What's that?
He's an expert to who? To himself? He marketed himself as an
I think
expert?
it's. I
Just like
think
Joe
it's.
Rogan markets
Okay,
himself
so
as the
No.
greatest podcaster of all time.
we could go
because he markets
on and on.
himself? Like,
I don't, LeBeau,
3
are there,
billion
and
people.
there are experts in things in life. Whether
I think it's.
I
I
don't know
think it's
that
his
you would
education
agree with.
level that,
Yeah.
and his
they're
years of
educated
research.
and they're the experts. So they are the be all end all. Let me ask you guys this then. Okay, so if you're off the bandwagon, you jump on the bandwagon to be a Christian, right? What bandwagon were you on before? Non-Christian?
You weren't
What's
on
on
the
the other side?
bandwagon.
What's
That's
on the
what
other side of the
jumped on
band?
it.
What's that other bandwagon that you're on then?
I think you're. I think in periods you're searching for something
You're a
to.
lost bandwagon?
You're wagonless, bro.
You're wagonless?
Yes,
Oh,
that's
that's
why
what I'm
you
trying to find
jumped on
out.
the bandwagon,
You're
because you don't have
wagonless.
a wagon.
Okay, so you jump on the Christian bandwagon, all of a sudden you have a wagon.
You
the
have a
Christian
band
wagon is
and
the
a
wagon.
wagon.
I'm just saying, man.
My
There's-
point.
Where's the
I
other
think.
side? What's on the other side? What is the other side?
I
Listen,
think
I
the
get what
point
you're
is.
saying, but here's the reality, dude. The reality is that there are facts in the world. There is concrete evidence in the world. You can't say that my shirt is white because it's not white. That's not a fact. Billy Carson was representing a lot of things as factual that were not facts for a long, long time.
But let me tell you this.
In front of a national audience, international audience. So for him to get humiliated like that on a casual conversation podcast was major news, right? And so to me, the guy should never have represented himself
I
as
didn't
an
even
expert.
hear about this until you guys brought it up to me. So
Oh, dude, well, I mean,
What was
it's
it
big
major?
news. I can't,
It's
you know
big
what?
news.
Yeah,
let me
I
ask you
can't.
this, Joe. When was this book made? When was this made?
What book?
Which book?
Whatever they're debating. I don't
Codex?
care. Give me the oldest.
Eight,
book, whatever you want.
1844 is when it was discovered.
1844.
Yeah.
That's not even that long ago. What the Bible was discovered way before that, right?
Well, it was written over a period of 1400 years by 40 different authors. Eventually compiled. The final canonization, as we just talked about, was in the 16th century. About 400 years after Christ, the Old Testament was canonized as the 27 books, and then now we have the New Testament after that, and then it became the complete Bible. And things that are not in the Bible are because they don't correspond with, they don't align with God's nature and character. It's not theologically accurate. There's reasons why the canon is what the canon is, and why other books were rejected. Doesn't mean somebody actually didn't write them.
What date do you want to use for the book? Like the oldest date is
what book?
Most accurate for the
Bible or
that's a whole other time. I mean, we could be here forever, but I mean, 16th
I know, but I'm
century
gonna
is when.
try to make this sound as simple as possible. Which book do you want to use at what date? Bible? Is that what you want to go with?
16th century, the Protestant Reformation.
Okay, there you go. There's the be all end all. And that's a fact, right, Carlos? There's a fact in the world, like you said. There's a book that exists. The book itself exists. But guess what? What doesn't exist? The faith. You have to have either faith in that book or not. Because no matter what that book is as a fact, as an existing document that dates back to whatever it is, it means nothing unless you have the faith to believe in that book.
Well, you're absolutely right. You're 1000% right. And you're preaching the gospel right now. But this conversation between Wes and Billy was not about faith. It was about academic knowledge.
It was about accuracy and not right and wrong.
But
So he
and,
could.
and
So what you're saying, LeBeau, is he had faith in that book, that he believed whatever he believed, but what he believed was in there was not in there.
No,
That's the point.
I get that, and then he's dumb for that. I agree with you guys.
but
Long story short, I agree with you for him saying that it wasn't in there. If it's in the book, it's facts, like you said.
The thing that rubs me the wrong way about this whole thing, and I know we're really long here, but I have to express this. The thing that bothers me about this is that the guy influenced millions of people through this information. And that is the tragedy of it, right? All of these people have been getting inaccurate information that has been skewing their view on God, on religion, on what I consider to be the truth, because he was out here spreading his not propaganda, but his errant information to millions of people, dude. That's what gets under my skin. And you know,
And it should, because the most important part of the Bible, which was the crucifixion, he was saying was not in there. And that's the central piece to Christianity.
and it goes along with
If you're a
people's
Christian,
So,
if
correct.
you're a
Yeah.
Christian, if you
Correct.
have the faith in that document,
correct.
just because it's in the document doesn't mean the document's correct. It doesn't mean that the document's the be all end all. You still have
That's-
to have faith in that document.
that is absolutely correct. But I will tell you, LeBeau, there is no other faith that has as much historical evidence supporting
Yeah,
it than
I believe you because
Christianity.
it's been researched the crap out of it. Yeah,
Yep.
I believe you. I agree to that as well.
I heard I can't remember who it was. I heard somebody in a seminar once say it takes more faith to be an atheist than it does to be a Christian, because there's not the same amount of science to connect those dots that atheists believe versus the dots that Christians believe. There's a lot more factual historical accounts for the things that are in the Bible than the narrative that atheists believe in,
I would agree to that, dude.
which is
But
ironic because atheists claim, right, that
We don't want to even go there with atheists, bro, because that's a whole different subject, bro.
Yeah,
We can talk all day long.
you made your
Atheism
point,
doesn't
and
even
that's
exist.
good. And
Like,
we could go on forever, but this is a good conversation, guys.
Yeah.
I mean, we could do
yeah,
another
it
one.
was
Long conversation.
I want to say
Definitely.
more.
We
everything
can,
tied
but
in
no,
really
I
well
mean-
today.
Yeah, I know. We can go. I actually have to use the bathroom, and I have to get to a few other life things too.
You have to go fart
Yeah, thank you.
and go laugh at your fart.
Smell it before I'm done.
Dude,
it.
it's terrible.
Anyway,
oh my
no, it was good discussion, guys. I appreciate you guys. Hopefully, everybody, you guys enjoyed this. If you got this far, let us know what you want to hear more of. Until then, until the next episode.
Follow, like, subscribe, share.
Yeah.
Woo, woo, woo.
See you guys on the next one. Peace.
See you guys.
Later.